What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be taking a look at a title called Deep Fringe. If you haven't seen this game before, it's a mashup between a lot of different genres. Like, it's like one part grand strategy game. In fact, in a lot of ways, it kind of reminds me of Warhammer Gladius if you got rid of the city building portion and it was just units smashing into units. It's got a little bit of RPG inside of there. It's got a little bit of Warhammer 40k in general, just to the theme and the tone of the game. It's got a whole lot of strategy and a beautiful art style. And so today we're going to be taking a look at it because the last time I checked out a playtest for this game, I liked it a lot. I spent 3 or 4 hours 2-3 days ago playing the playtest for about 5 hours in preparation for this video, and then I played this for about 2 hours just to make sure that like the two experiences were similar so that I wasn't drawing on like false information. But Deep Fringe is looking like it's going to be a strategy game that needs some polishing, but it's also complete and total anarchy and mayhem. So we're going to dive on in today. We're going to play the game for about 30 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. The missions can be kind of chunky inside of this title. If it runs long, that's perfectly fine, and I'll talk about all the things that I like and don't like about the game at the end. That way you can make an educated decision as to whether or not this is the type of game that you want to purchase for yourself. The link to the game is down below. It should be out when this video goes live in early access. And then on top of that, there's a bunch of other saucy Nerd Castle links down there, just being slinky, sultry, wearing their sexiest fishnets, just waiting for you to give them the old spicy click. But let's go ahead and dive on in. So in Deep Fringe, you are in a post-apocalyptic world where a number of different factions are all vying for power for the surface of the overworld. There's like 4 factions that I've seen so far. I don't know if they're planning on making all of them playable, but their army rosters do seem to be well developed enough that technically they could make campaigns for every single one of the armies inside of the game. But we are playing as the cyborgs in this game. We are the main characters, and we are grimdark, nasty guys that cruise across the surface, taking people, throwing them into the forge, and forcing them to become cyborg units of our army, kind of like the Borg, but a bit more sentient, I suppose. There's the mutants. We call those the barbarians. They're just heavily mutated human beings that have adapted to life on the surface. They use lots of toxin throwers, acid throwers, stuff like that. There's a Zerg-like faction that's kind of like, I guess, the Thing. They're like a flesh mass that incorporates anything that they can get their hands on in order to weaponize themselves and continue consuming and taking over the surface. And then there's the Nomads, which are kind of like a neutral faction. Sometimes they join us, sometimes they don't want to be assimilated, but hopefully today that doesn't become a quandary that we have to navigate our way through. Now, when you come on into the game, they're going to have you play an introductory mission. That introductory mission is going to kind of get you acclimated with the way the gameplay works. It's not really like a tutorial, but the game does have a dedicated tutorial. And then you're going to be brought back to the base, which is exactly where we are right now. I figured I didn't have to play that far into the game because the playtest and this version, they've been restructured a little bit, but the gameplay is largely identical. And so with 4 or 5 hours of playtest time from a couple days ago, I felt like I was ready to explain the game to all of you. There's a number of different services that we can do inside the base, but we're not going to fiddle with those for right now. We're going to dive straight into a mission, see some gameplay, hopefully have a good time with it, and then once we get out of that mission, I'll explain what all of this stuff is inside of here. Now, one thing I will say for new players is be very careful when you go to select a mission. This game has been translated, and while the storyline content has been translated quite well, the general gameplay and UI cues that the player is supposed to be reading off of, they can be a little bit cryptic. These secondary missions over here, don't think of them as optional missions that are going to be commensurate in difficulty to the primary mission that the game is offering you. Instead, think of these as really hardcore challenges that will make you do things like a Tanya mission, where you have one unit and you've got to sneak your way through an entire map, or you've got to take 5 guys and you've got to hold a hill for 20 turns against overwhelming forces. My general experience so far has been that these missions right here are not necessarily going to be beatable with a new squad. You need guys that are leveled up. You need guys that are geared and have lots of supplementary abilities and stuff like that if you want to make it on through. So for right now, we're just going to play this primary mission. Entropy cycle synchronized. May the source fire help us conduct our heat, consecrated one. My smelting circuits await your guidance. Consecrated One, arrived at Sector E42 perimeter. Warning, biomass signals are oversaturated. Malforms have established a total blockade. Handshake with Warlord Malat's command channel failed. His structural stress is being tested. Master Zealton drove us into this battlefield like a steel spike precisely to nail down this chaos. Tactical log confirmed. Must breach blockade to link with Malalt. Success probability projection is statistically irrelevant. Probability is a variable. The directive is a constant. We must bore through this wall. Give the order, Consecrated One. Let the engines roar. So at the beginning of the mission, it's actually going to be kind of very similar to Warhammer 40k, the tabletop game. Every unit in this game has a point value, and then you're trying to get the best balance of unit mass and also cost that you possibly can for the mission that you're going on into. The good news is, as you level these guys up inside the forge, their prices do not go up. As you gear them, their prices don't go up, so you can kind of plan around it for what it is that you want to do. For right now, I'm going to take an iron figure. I'm going to take an iron figure. I'm going to take a mayhem cannon because I found that artillery doctrine and like rolling fire is incredibly important in this game when you're going up against the malformed, which is this faction right here. Just having artillery support can be incredibly helpful. With 80 points left, so we can either go in light and have a healer, or we can go in pretty close to the 100-point value, but we won't have a healer for the rest of the mission. I'm probably just going to be a weenie, and I'm going to go in with a healer. We could bring 2 packs of healers, but one thing you need to realize in this game is that if your units die, you lose them. Like, they're no longer inside the game, and you got to purchase new ones, which means that this game does have a fail state. Like, these missions that you're playing through are almost roguelike-y in nature, because there's a solid chance you're going to die and have to go back to the beginning of the game, because from what I can tell, the game has forced Iron Man mode. There's no way to manually save and then like manually load a save. I'll check it one more time before I finish out the video, but I've checked it 2 or 3 times already. I've got 1 or 2 other ideas, but you want to play carefully in this game, because the things that you lose, like if you lose the mission, I think that like if they die in the mission but you win the mission, they come back wounded, but if you have to retreat or you have a full party wipe, that's the end for you. You're unfortunately got to fall back on your reserves. And so think about that when you're deciding whether or not to purchase equipment or units in between runs. Let's start her up. And let's roll. So we always get the benefit of going first. Let me introduce you to our units here. We have the Iron Figure. The Iron Figure is a giant mecha that's wielding a chainsaw flamethrower that also has a mounted grenade launcher on his shoulders. We have the Mayhem Cannon. This is our artillery piece. This thing is designed for wiping out like 5-6 enemies at a time and doing ridiculously chunky damage. These little dudes right here are the Cog Horde. You can think of them as just mechanics. Their entire job is just to fix up my units, and they can terraform these hexes and they can raise them up and down by 1 level on their turn, just in case you need to make paths for your units to move through as you're working your way through the map. Now we've got to move to the target point. I've never played this mission before, so I don't know what's going to happen when we get there. Let's open up a little bit strong. I'm going to start with the Mayhem Cannon, which has an ability called Explosive Shell. We're going to launch that straight into the mass of the enemy, and as you can see, we've liquefied them. I'm also going to follow up with a straight tank blast right there, and that one goes down. Now, there's a number of different things you need to know about the way your units perform in this game, which actually make them tactically very interesting from my experience with the playtest. You have 2 different stats. You have AP and you have energy. AP is used for movement, and it's used for jumping, and it's used for reloading, and then energy is used for any ability that is denoted by a little lightning bolt. From there, anything that's denoted with a bullet that has a charge on it, you can only use that 1 time, and then you've got to use a reload action. This means that your turns in this game can be incredibly dynamic and interesting, especially once you start stacking gear on these guys that gives them extra AP, it gives them extra magazine size, it gives them extra energy. It's a very interesting, sort of robust character building game. On top of that, every single unit in this game has skill trees that you can spend scrap in order to fill out. But for now, let's go ahead and move this unit forward. And actually, what's this stalactite looking at? You see this stuff on the ceiling? It's not just there for decoration. If you hit a unit, let's see if we can find a spot. So let's say there was a unit on this tile right here, and I shot him with a gun, the impact of my bullets hitting this tile would make that stalactite fall, and then it'll deal like 30 damage to whatever's on top of that tile. And so be very, very careful about the environmental modifiers in this game. Everything has a function here. So for example, that right there is a brood nest. If anything is near it that's from the brood, it gets healed on their turn. This thing, likewise, is the exact same thing. There'll be explosive barrels. There'll be things full of radioactive waste. There'll be also different types of floor tiles you've got to pay attention to with their own stats, because the map in this game is dynamic. The more you fight on a tile, the more its stability wears down, and when its stability wears down too far, it will collapse, causing your unit to fall and take damage, and then you'll have to rebuild it with terraforming, or it can just collapse into the grayness of the background and be gone forever and kill whatever's on top of it. And so this is definitely a game that requires some thought before you make your move. I'm going to chainsaw him up, and then I'm going to launch a grenade down into this little area right here. Let's rotate it to make sure that my shot is getting maximum damage. Boom, baby. Grenade launcher, getting it done. We've got stalactites falling. We've got loot ejecting from the anuses of our enemies, which is exactly what I like to see. I'm going to reload with the remainder of my movement points and continue bombarding them with grenades. We are going to click on this guy and check to see how far he can move. This game does do a pretty good job of letting you know what enemy units are going to do on their turn so that you can plan around it. From there, I'm going to move this guy up to right here. He's not really going to be able to do too much on his turn, but I will launch a grenade at that little dork right there, just to make sure that we don't have any enemies closing with us too tightly. At which point, I don't think our front line really has much else to worry about. Let's move the Mayhem Cannon up. I'm only going to move him by 1. That way I can use his other movement to reload him so that on the next turn he'll be useful to us. We can launch a shell down into this gully right here if we wanted to. I will. Height does confer an advantage in this game when it comes to firing your ranged weapons. So once again, another thing to keep carefully in mind. Now, if I wanted to get that loot, I'm either going to have to jump down there and grab it and have my engineers terraform these tiles. It's going to take a while, and it's only gray loot. You can see a glowing outline for how good the loot is before you grab it. I probably won't bother with that one right there, but what I will bother with is these little guys have an ability called Weld. It heals the unit that they're hitting, but it has an additive effect. It adds armor to them, which shields their HP from damage until that armor's been depleted. So it's a good idea before we send these guys into the frontline fray that we just kind of tack a few more plates onto them to make sure that they're safe and raring to go. I'm going to end my turn right there, and we're going to wait to see what the Horde does. Now, this guy right here is a biological cannon. He's going to be a problem. So he's going to be a priority target because he's going to have the ability to snipe our units that are in the back line and potentially kill off our engineers, which I really don't want to buy new engineers anytime soon, and so that would be bad. I'm going to move one of my frontline guys over here, and we're going to drop an acid grenade right there. I'm going to reload him. We're going to drop another acid grenade right there. Perfect. Acid grenades have cleared out the field. Then, how many guys do we have down in the pit down there? We have, this guy's a spawner, so he spawns these little dudes over here. So we're going to have to get him at some point. We'll chainsaw that guy down real quick. And then, how do I want to deal with you? Do you have, oh, he has a stalactite above him. Okay, well, he's going to be easy to deal with then. I'm just going to launch a grenade down there. That was enough to kill him off, so that'll work. I'm going to reload. We're going to launch another grenade right there. Okay. And it looks like we basically got an open field now. Engineers, if you want to try to work on it, I'm not going to be mad at you. Like, you can do it. So, like, let's take that, and we'll go like that right there, just to show you what terraforming looks like. And now one of my engineers can actually get down here for an increased AP cost in order to grab that loot. That's fine. I didn't think it was going to be that easy, but easy it was. I'm going to move the siege cannon forward. And then we're just going to end the turn right there and let this last guy slop his way forward. I'm going to terraform that downward right now, and then we'll move him up to there. Over on this side, we're probably going to need a little bit of granata action. So let's move down to here, and if I can slam a grenade down on that front, I will be happy with it. Grenade's gone out. Let's move our siege cannon forward. You, Let's move you forward. I can jump down this ravine if I wanted to, but it'll damage my mech. I could probably just heal it off, but then I would have to wait for everybody to regroup on one tile, and I don't know, dude. It's a headache I don't feel like dealing with. We'll let this last guy do what he's going to do. He'll probably spawn, yeah, he'll probably just poop out another minion, but did he poop out another minion? Oh, he didn't. Done pooped it. Okay, that's fine. Well, let's move over to here, and I'm going to collect up some of this loot, because loot is crazy important in this game and gives, like, massive buffs to making your character stronger. I'll probably move down to here, and then I'll just chainsaw whittle him down. With this unit right here, keep in mind that he rotates through his melee ability, so every first attack is going to be a heavy damage single target attack. Every second attack is going to be an AoE's cleave that lights the entire landscape on fire. Through his skill tree, you can learn abilities that make you immune to fire, so that he can just, like, fight in the fire, or if you prefer, he can sleep now in the fire if you wanted to get extra Rage Against the Machine about it, but we don't have access to that utility right now, so I'm going to try to saw that down, and then I'm going to grab that loot over there in just a second. I'm going to move the siege cannon to this high ground right here, and then we're probably going to take a turn and reload him before I do anything else, because when I step on that green tile right there, it's going to expand the map, and things are going to get a little bit more dangerous. Put as much armor on my units as you possibly can. Does he have any movement left? He does not. Okay, I want to grab all the loot chests, though, because there's going to be lots of stuff that we can vendor and get rid of back at base once we get out of here. And every last scrap of currency is a huge come-up in this game. I would like to see the effect of, like, when you pick that up right there, it should make a sound that confirms the pickup that's satisfying and sounds sufficiently scrappy. Maybe the top lid opens up and then, like, a little diamond comes up that's in the color of the quality of the loot that you got. I don't know, but it's something that I would like to see. Alright, I think we're ready to pop the lid on this thing. Whenever it expands the map, I think it resets our turn, so we should be good here. What are we up against? We're up against a lot. Commander, detecting anomalous biological signals. Signature distinct from malforms. Target is under engagement. Database match the maze. Your fire is timely, Iron Shells. I am a Nuthiel. My kin have retreated to the deep roots, and I alone hold the line here. An unregistered mutant strain? The sector's under lockdown. Your presence is an uncalculated error. Aid me in holding the ground, and in exchange I will guide you through the veins of the earth. Okay, well, I mean, he's got a number of units over here, so apparently there's a new faction in here that was not in the playtest that I played around with for 4 or 5 hours. So that's interesting as well. It looks like we've got like a Lizard Man faction. All right. So with our starting point over here, we're going to want to bombard this, and we're going to want to bombard this real good. Or real well if you're my English teacher. But let's go ahead and fire that on into there. I'm going to take a little bit of pressure off of these dudes by just putting some fire on all these guys. Knocked him into the pit. That's unfortunate, because that means we lose the loot. For whatever reason, loot still spawns, even if there's an empty pit and you can't get to it. It's deeply upsetting. I hate it. Let's get these guys knocked out. Maybe kill you off. There we go. We're going to follow up with an acid grenade over here. Okay, 2 acid grenade kills. We're going to move him up right there. This guy's going to lead the charge. His acid grenade, however, is ready to rock, and I think it'll kill 2 enemies, so I'm just going to launch it real quick. Perfect. And then we'll move the engineers up behind. And now that they're moved, I can't reload the siege cannon just yet, but I can weld more armor onto this guy. Keep in mind your healing units, their healing efficiency is designated by their attack power stat. So if you give them a sword that gives +6 attack power, they will get +6 to their healing. It's a very simple system that actually works pretty well. Okay, that's not ideal. I wasn't expecting that many to come from down here. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a scout unit with me, so this fog right here, you can clear it with torches that you fire over there like flares that are only on the scout unit. And they chewed on my engineer pretty good right there, so I'm just going to heal him back up to full real quick. You reload, because we got some blasting to do. It's time to get real Danny DeVito up in this piece. Let's finish him off. He doesn't have the AP to reload again, unfortunately. But which rotation are you on right now with your attack? Okay, so you fall back so that you're out of the way. And I need to cleave some stuff down. I think moving to here would be the better play. So let's cleave them down real quick. Okay, the spawner's been liquefied. Block their pass over here and don't let them come up on my units. Do the same thing to him. The neutrals are attacking me for some reason. This is a repeating problem that I've seen coming up in this build, is that yellow bars are supposed to mean neutrals. That means they're not supposed to, like, touch you. And I don't think I hit any of them with any of my AoEs, but they are attacking me right now, which is a concern. You guys move back to safety. And I think that's about all I can do for right now. I will scoop all this loot in just a minute, but let's end the turn and we'll see if they follow us up or not. They did actually follow us up. Okay, so we're gonna have to fall back and I may have to kill these dudes. They are getting rocked up on pretty good right now by the malforms. So what I really need to do is I need to fix him up because we flatly cannot afford to lose him right now. I need to fix these guys up. How's he striking up that cliff? Oh, he's got a melee attack that'll actually cover. Okay. Well, that's concerning. I'm not in love with it. There's an argument to be made that I could just smoke the neutrals and not care about the sub job that they're putting in front of me right now. Like, I could just do that and not care. Yeah, let's just purge the Xenos. It'll make life easier. Just fire indiscriminately into the middle of those guys for now, because they're the closest and the deadliest. And then move up to here. Chainsaw that guy down before he starts artillerizing me. There we go. That'll work. He can't move to get out of the way, which I find to be really worrying. So I think I'm going to have to move this guy over to here. Let's do it. That gives me a cheeky reload over on this side. And then I can just kind of drop a grenade over there. I think that'll probably work for right now. Let's sneak him back to right there. And then I think everybody has done their dirt for this round. Move back over there in case somehow he figures out how to get up here. I may have to spend a turn without my siege engine just to move him out of the way. What are they going to do? Are they going to focus on these guys or are they going to focus on me? They're focusing on me, so like this may have to be one of those things that happens. I wasn't looking to purge the aliens from this land, but from the playtest, I've learned that if we kill all the red targets, the yellow targets turn green. And so if I can save some of these guys, that's perfectly fine. If I can't, I'm not that worried about it. He's not really taking that much damage. So let's drop a bomb right there. We'll also fire a shot at that thing. We'll reload. Move him back by 1. Artillerize that right there. I think these guys probably have it handled, so I might be able to save my straight shot for something else. Kill them off, and then just navigate real carefully around these dudes, because like that thing right there chomps you if you get near it. It's basically like a chain chomp. Don't go near it, okay? I'm gonna save his one shot. These guys got hit a little bit, so I'm gonna patch them up real quick. And then engineers fall back. And then we'll end that right there and kind of see what happens next, dude. Huh, he's like exclusively attacking me. This guy he may need to get got. There's a solid chance that he might have to we might have to get rid of him. See, and now they got me all curious. I'm going to have to go back and watch the footage and see if I accidentally hit him with anything. That's the worst part. Launch a grenade right there. Chainsaw him. Step forward by 1. In exchange... A mutant straying this far, he must have sniffed something out. We deny the malforms any scrap, be it biomass or intel. Move, consecrated one. Okay. Whatever you say, man. Down he goes. I mean, for talking all that trash, he's got like a real soft chin on him. Let's finish off the rest of the malforms. Launch a grenade into the center over there. Perfecto. Engineers, come fix my siege engine. I need him to, like, be ready for the squabbles, dude. We trying to squabble out here, and you can't squabble properly without a siege engine that's working its ass off for you. We've got a bunch of fog and stuff down there. I'm going to take my freebie shot, and then I'm going to reload. We're going to move one tile maybe that way, just to give us some extra range. We're going to nuke them. Fire a shot at that thing, although that thing's got a chin on it. That thing right there does not take that much damage from a freaking artillery shell, so I don't know what that is, but it's dangerous. The Mist Heart Matron. Well, Mist Heart Matron's about to get blappered on, dude. We're about to give her the old skeek skirk. We're about to slide by. Preferably in like an early 70s, like Lincoln Continental, two-tone green candy paint job, maybe some chrome or some gold chrome on like the rims, the bumper. Obviously, when it comes to like, ooh, a convertible? Yeah, we'll go with the convertible with the white top on it, maybe with the viewport window, maybe like some Flowmaster pipes on it, bro. Shee! All right, Enemigos' turn. Let's let them do their thing. I think she's just over here, like, ripping huge hookah rips and creating this fog. Like, I think that's what she's actually up to right now. Oh, my God, there's a lot of them. All right. I mean, get used to it. This is, like, what everything looks like. Wait, what? The roots hold. Thanks for your power, iron shells. Iron Brain, we have an old saying. First, we need to go slower on this text right here. I physically cannot read this as fast as you're unfolding it. And then it disappears. There we go. All right, let's go back up and see what just happened. The roots hold. My thanks for your firepower, Iron Shells. Do your roots stretch this far? Iron Brain, we have an old saying. First crawl ashore. Honestly, it doesn't fit inside the window either. That's some serious software gore that needs to be fixed. The roots hold. My thanks for your firepower. Commander, keep fire locked on the lizard. Okay, well, I mean, we have orders to keep shooting his ass, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. We follow orders around here. We're polite. Slash him up with the old chainsaw. Yup. Okay, we're going to reload real quick because we're not really going to be able to move anyways. I can't purely hit anything from here. I can hit them, I guess. Anything that, like, supplements the murder that I'm trying to undertake. We're going to artillery shell this guy down. Drop a big old bomb in their midst. Hopefully not collapse the entire planet. I'd like to get some loot. Loot feels like it would be a solid play for me. So let's chainsaw away down here. We are going to need that thing to die. So die, please. Thank you. I'm going to go for a hand grenade that goes after them. I am going to reload. We're going to huck another grenade at him. Perfecto. And then you, he's kind of like out of position now. Oh well, I guess that's the way things go in Albuquerque. All right. There's got to be something spawning these guys over here on the left. We're going to have to push forward and find it. Yeah, they keep coming out of the murk in ways that are not advantageous. Reload demo guns. Blast that dude up. You move down to here. Get the loot. Stab him up. Engineers. Fix my other engineer. We are recursively engineering right now. And then I will come down here. No, I won't. I will not do that. That is not the thing that I will do. Instead, I will focus all of my ire and all of my glorious hatred on the spawners. Then I will reload. We will launch a grenade into the midst of all those enemies. They will die horrifically in a shower of gore and blood. We will reload again, and then we will continue to apply very, very oppressive fire on each and every one of them. I'm going to grab that loot right there real quick, and then I'm going to not end my turn on the fire spot. It's time to actually kind of get you moving down this way, methinkies. So, like, be on your way. Can you hit anything from right there? You can hit them. That's fine by me, dude. Anything that thins out the field and makes there be less bad guys. Or plausibly deniable possible enemies, because with the purple fart smoke ladies, I don't actually know if they're the enemy. Sometimes with neutrals on the board, things get really weird with this game, and I can't quite explain it. I get the vibe from this title that it needs a lot more polishing, but the core gameplay is solid here. Yeah, there's definitely a spawner down there, and we're going to have to do something about it before too long. The spawner down there, it's in that little corner. I just saw him come out of it, so we're going to have to do something about it. The good news is they stepped on my flames. I'm going to continue chainsawing. Any day where I get to chainsaw filthy alien Xenos is a fantastic day. Before you move along, you just moved her right there, and can you, like, I don't know, weld some of his toesies back on? I'd appreciate it. I think that would be just absolutely phenomenal if you could do some very light toesy welding. There you go. I don't want his tootsies to be untootsied from his body. You die, please. Yeah, I think you should also die. I feel pretty passionately about that. Let's step down into the agua real quick, grab myself some looty bits. I am going to move my artillery piece forward. I want it to be right there, but I don't want it to be in the fire. But it may have to be for one turn. Yeah, just move him forward, and then we'll end the turn, because I got to get after this spawner down here, dude. These spawners are really causing problems for me. Arson's fine. He can take damage. Reload him. Give me a little bit of effective fire right there. Effective fire was particularly effective. Just what I love to see. Use your shell on that thing. It's kind of closer than I would like it to be. There is a possibility here that I may have to do something about that. So you just chainsaw away there, buddy. Good stuff. Yeah, just grenade him out so that he's not, like, flanking all my homeboys over here. I would appreciate that. You weld his face back on. Just so many faces coming off today. That's really the problem when you're a mechanized army full of chainsaws, is that just, like, there's the real possibility in all cases that people just end the day without their faces. I also need to make some decision-making decisions about what I'm going to do over here. I'll probably reload him real quick, even though it eats up some of my movement, so that I can launch a grenade at them. And then we'll take this one downtown, saw him up real good. And I think that's about all I can handle for right now. Okay, so we eliminated the spawner on this side that was allowing them to outflank us, which is great. Very helpful stuff right there. That guy burned to death, fart gas everywhere. That's the thing that's spawning them, and so if we can, like, fight our way to it, we'll be okay. Like I said, dude, missions in this game are a long, long haul. They really sincerely are. Like, you should not expect missions in this game to happen quickly. That'll work. Anything that, like, softens them up a little bit. I would also like to grasp some loot while we're down and over here. Reload the artillery piece. We'll give him a full move on the next turn. And then I could send my NGs out to kind of grab loot, but I'm afraid to overextend my NGs without backup. So instead, I'll bring my NGs down into the water. And I'll try to get around so that I can heal him in just a second. You do get a talent later on that allows these guys to heal 2 tiles out, but we don't have it right now. Huh, that's real unfortunate. I don't like what's happening here. There may be another spawner in that corner. It seems likely. Alright, well, reload from this side and give me a little bit of breathing room. You reload. And we really got to kill spawners here. So I'll take that one out. I'm going to move you over to here to give me some line of sight. Siege cannon does have gunfire ready to go. I need you to move over to here and just weld him back together real fast. And then go down and get that loot. You got 1 movement left, and you don't really have much left. Okay. Let's get these guys out from behind us, I suppose. He's still got a decent grip of AP left, so I should be able to kill that. But we're all out of reloads right now, so that's just going to be something we have to deal with. That sucks. I just lost an engineer. That is big, fatty, weak sauce. Okay. They do like to focus my engineers, though. They have a real propensity for it. And unfortunately, that was my engineer that was really good at, like, healing, too. Check that corner for me real quick. Huh, I wonder where they were coming from, because there's nothing over there. Weird. Might have just been, like, fat enemy density. Okay, and grab that loot right there. Move forward over this way. Reload again, so that we can get back to the hurling. Perfect. Another enemy down, and that guy is, like, the last thing that we need to deal with here. Okay, move by 2s. Reload. Oh, that guy's like way down in the pit. He's like spawning him off in the middle of nowhere, dude. He's like spawning stuff down in Narnia down there. I don't even know how I'm going to get after those. Alright, well, you guys are dead. I'm going to move over to here and reload and maybe see if I can squeeze a shot at anything over here. Yeah, kill the spawner and him, dude. That's what I sincerely need out of you. We just have way too much gnarly stuff going on right now. Alright, end the turn. I don't know what that noise was, but there's no more enemies on grid, so I think we're safe here. Let's heal up, but I've only got my crappy healer right now, which kind of blows. Oh, there's another one over here, dude. It never ends. I really do think there should be a hard cap on how many things can spawn, because the vibe that I get from this game is that it just really makes it into a slog, having to fight all these guys, like, non-stop. And now he's going to poop out a few more units, and I'm going to cry myself to sleep. That's a fragile tile. Don't go on that. That's fine. That's no biggie. We can deal with that right there. We will finish them off simultaneously. We will move our units forward. I'm so tired from this fight that, like, I don't even care about picking up the loot. That's kind of where I'm at. Now let's move up that way. Keep everybody trundling forward, reloading and doing their thing. If you can, terraform that real quick. Because, like, I'm a little bit concerned about not having the high ground. But then again, we don't know if something's going to spawn on top of that once we touch this green thing. Maybe I'll wait and see before I put the siege cannon up there. It may be a wiser idea. Alright, pop the cork. What's in here? Oh, the battle ends. We actually won the fight. But like I said, dude, these are very, very long missions. If you like long missions, then you'll probably like this game. If you do not want to sit and do a mission for like 40 minutes for like one of the opening missions, or like I had a mission earlier in the playtest that was like an hour and 20 minutes before I was done, it was a very long haul. Like it was one of those fights that got long enough that you start to get anxious about wiping it and having to go back to the beginning. Warning, high velocity signature detected, incoming artillery. IFF confirmed, friendly source Ember Iron Flux Company. Warlord Malalt's priority channel force connection. You overstepped, Commander. That was my designated slaughter field. I needed the malforms to cluster there. Our operation cycles were synchronized. You should have calculated our position. The bombardment result remains identical. It was an external factor that halted us. Your plan lacked any redundancy. My plan is based on known constants serving the war zone objective. Your rash advance is merely an accidental variable. Do not let such accidents clog the next calculation. And like that, we get our loot list. Unfortunately, my cog horde got murdered. That kind of sucks because he had loot on him, but like, what are you going to do? We did get a decent amount of loot here. The tough shells should make us a decent amount of money, so I can live with that. That's all right. Back to base. So what kind of organizational stuff can you do inside of this game? Well, you can trade. So the various things you pick up, they're going to be constituent parts for making and manufacturing all this stuff inside of your forge. I already know what I want. I want like a boron carbide, but I also want anything that gives me +1 AP. So I'm going to take the hydraulic because I'm going to put that. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to get your artillery pieces up to like 6 AP. That way they can reload and fire 3 times per turn. And at that point, like nothing can stop you, dude. You're going to be an unquakeable, just wrecking ball of destruction once you get to that point. But like, we're not at that point right now. I'm going to sell the triple rots for 7,000. I'm going to sell those for 16,000. I'm going to sell the spine alloys for 5,000. And then from there, we should have enough money to basically do whatever the hell we want. They do have a buyback section, which is nice. I'll probably buy the boron carbide if I can afford it. I would also like to get a... Oh, I don't have the stuff for the magnetic rail cannon, unfortunately. I also don't have the stuff right now for the singularity confinement field, which is really good. I will take the kinetic energy converter. I will take the tactical link. And I will take the optical calibrator. That's fine. These only recycle in between missions. I'll replace the cog horde that I lost. I'll probably also buy a Kai. This guy's like a little scavenger that picks up loot passively as he moves around the battlefield, and the more loot he picks up, the more powerful he gets. So he's a 5-point unit that sucks at the beginning of the game. But by the end of the battle, if he's been looting a lot of stuff passively, this guy can snowball out of control and just be an absolute beast, especially if you give him lots of items that increase his magazine size. I'm going to buy another Mayhem Cannon because I'm a corny bastard like that. And after we got done with our training, there's also the factory. Inside the factory, so you've got hero units. You can upgrade them with the little blue things you get for doing missions that'll just make them flatly stronger. And then every single unit in this game has a tech tree. That tech tree will allow them to upgrade themselves, get stronger. So for example, for this, you want Slaughter Droid for the Mayhem Cannon, because if you kill 3 enemies with 1 shot, you then automatically reload, which is an infinite in a thick battlefield. That's an infinite. Boom, 5 enemies dead, reload. Boom, 5 enemies. That's one of the things that I like about this game, is that they give you that freedom. You can actually have busted overpowered units in this game. I'm also going to give him crushing tracks. That way he can run over any unit that's smaller than size 3. That'll be good. He can just gush them Command and Conquer style, so that'll be nice. I'll probably upgrade the Iron Figure and make him immune to arson and armor piercing, and then I will give him Splash on his cleaves right there, but I'll only put in like 2 of those. For the cog horde, I'm going to make it so that they get automatically just a lot more healing from their basic heal, and then I'm going to make it so that they can heal 2 tiles out. From there, with my dark fires, I would like him to be able to fire his torch a little bit further. You haven't seen that ability, but it's really useful. And then I think I'd like to make him... We can give him bonus damage if he's not near, because he's a scout. If he's away from all of our other units by at least 1 tile, he gets bonus damage on every sniper shot that he takes. That would be nice. For tongue steel, I'm going to make it so that his fusion conduction heals people, and his forge cannon puts arson on the enemy when it hits them. And then I'll probably just hold on to the rest of our scrap. The final location is preparation. Every single unit in this game has 4 slots, which are where those items that we've been looting go. You can have duplicates. You can put whatever the hell you want on them. Some of them take up 2 slots. Some of them take up more slots. It's up to you. Build your units however the hell you want to build them. For right now, though, I'm going to add a composite frame to him so that he's got plus 11 damage on his attacks. Our other iron figure, I'm going to give him 2 tactical links, a boron carbide plating, and then I'm going to give him another batch of attack just to make him hit a little bit harder. So now we have 3 iron figures that are ready to rock. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to take those off, and I'm going to put those on one of my cog hordes. Then I need my mayhem cannon over here to have the hydraulic joint. That way he has 4 AP. I'm going to give him some more defense. No, I'm not. Never mind. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll up armor him. He doesn't need all the energy because his attacks don't use energy. They use ammo. But the 7 damage mitigation will help if he gets swarmed by smaller enemies, which you've seen how chaotic combat can get in this game when they're just spawning on you nonstop. But let me do my closing thoughts on this title after 5 hours in the playtest and like 2 hours in the early access release build. So there's a number of weird things with this game. So I'll just say up front that I think there's nothing wrong with the core gameplay. In fact, I find it to be a really fun horde-churning grand strategy hybrid RPG. There's very few games like this that let you mulch like 7 enemies in one turn, reload in the same turn, mulch another 7 guys, reload in the same turn. It does fulfill kind of a strategy power fantasy that I can't really get anywhere else. The setting is cool. The art is absolute bangers. I did get suspicious of the art because there was so much of it that was so good, so I figured it was just AI. So I captured like 5 to 10 different images inside the game and ran them all through AI art detection, and there was no hits, but there were still a number that looked kind of dubious, so I'm guessing the game uses paint overs, but I can't like prove it. It would just be sort of me throwing a shot in the dark. But that said, I think on a tactical level, I really enjoyed the freedom and large-scale combat that this game provided. But there are things that need to be sorted out. So I found neutrals to be weird the entire time that I play the game. They're unpredictable when it comes to whether or not they aggro the player. To my mind, they should just fight reds and ignore the player as long as they're yellow, unless you accidentally hit them. But like, I'm not exactly sure how they're supposed to function. I've not hit them at all, and they still attack me, and then they still join my side after I kill all the reds, even though they were just stabbing me with a spear. I don't know. From there, the game is littered with little things like the game resetting back to its native language every single time that I play. There's syntax errors, kerning problems in the dialogue windows, typos, other things like that that need to be sorted out. The main body of the narrative seemed to be well translated and free of those problems. It's just like all the other supplementary stuff that has it in there. I found most of the enemies to be tool-tipped properly in the early access build, with pop-up boxes and whatnot telling you what's gonna go on, and that's good because in the playtest version of the game, there were loads of icons and like half of them had pop-ups that told you what they did, and the other ones you just kind of had to watch and guess based on what the enemy was doing and how they reacted. But I do think there's an opportunity here to make the terrain tile HP, deformation, hardness scales be explained a little bit better to the player mechanically. I, at this point, just kind of assume that they collapse randomly based on damage values. You can deal more damage to them the higher their hardness value is, and like the lower it is, the more they collapse. But there's no, like, the game doesn't give you the exact coding conversion for how that works so that you can make educated decisions. I'd like the forced Iron Man thing to go away and allow me to make as many saves as I want inside of a campaign. I don't mind Iron Man. In fact, there are many games that I do play Iron Man on, but Iron Man is only cool if you're familiar with the game. It's overly punishing for new players, and with infinite enemy spawns and some of the twists that the campaign missions can play around with, you can definitely get gotcha'd and basically brick your run. I did find that with infinite enemy spawns, some missions can drag with regards to the pacing on the big long missions like the hour-and-a-half ones, so I do think that there should be an internal limit the enemy will eventually hit where they run out of biomass to keep reforming and the player can just kind of advance forward. It's going to be one of those things they've got to feel out from a game feel perspective, but I do think it should be in there. The good news is, despite how long the missions are, the game does support mid-mission saves if you go out to the menu, so before you make important decisions on hard missions, you can scum them by saving to the menu and then going back into the mission, and if it goes wrong, just control out, delete out, restart the game, and it'll load your previous save. That's what I did to learn the game to avoid losing stuff permanently or bricking my run. You shouldn't have to do that, but you can, and I'll admit that I did. I found the tutorial with this game to be really underwhelming. It gives you just enough information to play the game almost like an idiot, but it leaves out basically all the important stuff when it comes to the actual nuance of how the game plays with terrain deformation, destruction, environmental objects, stuff like that. I think it's going to need to be overhauled a bit. So all in all with Deep Fringe, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. I like the actual battles, I like the actual gameplay, but there's no denying here that they have their work cut out for them for all the other accompaniment that goes along with making a game when it comes to getting it into a tip-top, polished condition for a consumer. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Deep Fringe. Tomorrow to be something else. Thanks, folks, and that's all I got for you.